What's up guys, Bryce here, and we're back at it again for another video. This is round 3 of the PCA Sim Racing season in season 12. We're at Donington Park in the rain, the national circuit. So no hairpin, we have the chicane, pretty short lap, but this is qualifying. We're just gonna jump straight into this. Qualifying went pretty well, qualified on pole. Didn't expect it at all, to be honest. I didn't think I had really the pace, and the lap times for like the top 3 were within hundredths of a second. But again, didn't think I would get pole, just somehow put the lap together, and it was just good enough for that pole position spot. But the track was wet and long race. You can see there on the left hand side we have the lap times extremely close. All of us were in the 13s, and believe the final times were 13.5. We're all in the 13.5s. So extremely close. So this version of Donington, if you don't know, after the back straight you have a little right-left chicane, which is fun in the dry. First time doing this in the wet, and you're pretty much just driving through puddles. The fastest way is through the big puddle at the apex. When you come across the line, you can see the checkered flag there, and it was just good enough for pole position. Pretty happy with that. Really the key drivers in this race is going to be Derek Cyphers, who's in P2, and Jesse Lyons will come into play towards the end of the race, and we're about to go green. Looking at the marshal there, green flag gets thrown, and away we go down into turn 1. Turn 1, I was a bit cautious. Looking back, could have been a bit more aggressive. A little tap there, and we almost ruined the race right there from that little tap. Yeah, a bit cautious going into turn 1. Kind of just didn't know where the right place to brake was, and we did lose the lead, unfortunately. You can see we have tons of cars behind us. So I was pretty disappointed that I lost the lead on the first lap. You can see I did a Lando Norris there, but lost lead on lap 1, but we weren't gonna give up yet. Again, you can already see the gap is kind of opening up a little bit, so I was a bit worried at this point, but still very early in the race. It's an hour-long race, and the weather can change things. So first lap, lost the lead on the start. Now it's just keeping it together and just trying to manage and kind of feel out what the pace is like. Usually at the start of the race, you kind of just try to get into a rhythm, and then once you get into a rhythm, it's just about slowly chipping away, kind of hoping for a mistake to happen in P1, especially in the rain. Mistakes are way more common than in the dry, and you'll see that is exactly what happened. So about 15 minutes has passed. We're still trailing behind, but we're keeping it under a second, which is really crucial. Kind of once you drop out under a second, you give the car in front a big cushion to just relax a bit, and again you have more ground to gain, which can sacrifice your tires a bit, and also whatever strategy you might have. But 15 minutes left, and you can see we're putting a bit of pressure on Cyphers here. Not that he maybe felt the pressure. Very quick driver, I doubt he felt the pressure from us, but we are closing the gap a bit, and this is going to give us a little bit of an opportunity. The pit stop is towards the end of the race, so the stint usually, first stint is usually done with about 10 minutes left, so we weren't going to pit yet. So really, once I was in the rhythm and I kind of found a bit of pace, we started to close the gap a bit, and I knew I wanted to make the move and try to get this lead back. So going into the chicane, braking middle of the track, and you can see as a little slide bounces completely over the curbs, and this is going to give us a pretty good run onto the front straight. We make the pass and just capitalize on a little mistake, and one little mistake like that can really just change the whole race. And I'm pretty sure he did end up getting a slowdown for this, because he did let Jesse Lyons through, who really was our main rival throughout this whole race. He was just extremely quick. I don't know how he was that fast, but definitely I was not the fastest one in this race by any means. But now we're in the lead. Now you can see Jesse Lyons gets past him. Now in my head I was thinking, let's try to build a gap. That did not happen. I just didn't have the pace at all to build a big enough gap, and still have 40 minutes to go. And you can see now we're down to 20 minutes left, and Jesse Lyons is right behind us, and keep an eye on him throughout this whole race because the pace that he had was pretty incredible, pretty crazy pace that he had, and I just was not able to pull away. So at this point, I was just focusing on defending and really just making sure that he couldn't get past, which is not easy in the rain. You can see 20 minutes left. He's finally basically right on our bumper. He's going to move to the outside and try and move around the outside. The lines we're taking into turn 1 were a bit different. He just had so much more pace into turn 1, a little bit of tap there, a little bit of contact, and now we're going side by side through the first sector. And I believe this is where he did get by me after following me for pretty much the whole race. And now we're going to try to make a move around the outside. Didn't work, and now we're just on his rear bumper and just trying everything we can. Have a little look down the inside. That was not going to work. And then going to the right-hander here, we just try everything we can, just poke the nose in just a little bit, but it's not enough to get fully side by side. I knew I wasn't gonna, take him out or anything, but just trying everything I can to maybe get him to make a little mistake, a little fake move on the inside, but nothing worked. So we had to kind of settle for getting past here. And the thing is, when you get past, you kind of start to try to pass the car in front back, so you can be prone to sort of over pushing a little bit. You can see there we just micro locked the front left, because once you get closer to the white line, that's where the track is a bit wet. You can kind of see towards the outside of the track it's a bit wet, so we did slightly lock the front. And then now again we're trying to basically gain this ground that we lost, and the second they start to over push a little bit and you just start to go a little bit outside of the limit, that's when you start to lose time. You can see that we hit the curbs, and you don't really want to be on the curbs in the wet. They are just extremely slippery. They will pull you out, and that's what we ended up doing. You can see hit the apex curb, the exit curb, and all that's doing is just adding tenths to the car in front. So a few laps go by, we kind of just settle for P2, and just at this point we're just playing the long game. We're trying to fuel save just a little bit, but it's so tricky in the wet. And you can see again there, we're just using all the track, just trying to push as hard as we can to stay as close as we can to him. And we ended up staying behind him for the rest of the first stint. You can see if you look on the dash there, this is low fuel. We're basically attacking as much as we can now to just try to stay with him. And you can see on the leaderboards there on the left, the lap times are just so close. We both have 1:13.0, so we're essentially driving the same exact pace now. And it's really just about who's going to make the mistake first, and just who can keep the consistency going. And you can see we jump into the pits, first and only pit stop of the race. We gain a little bit of time on him going into the pits, maybe gain a couple tenths there, and knew I wasn't going to really beat him in the pits. We're probably going to have the same exact time for the pit stop. I think mine was a little bit slower than his. You can see he pulls away a bit more than me. And now I knew at this point, now that we're not fuel saving anymore and we're not kind of waiting to see what the fuel strategy is, that this is essentially the moment to go full attack and just push as hard as we can to try to pass him. And I remember specifically at this point, this is when we just absolutely just sent it. Remember, I was just pushing as hard as I could to try to catch him, because I knew that if I did not catch him, if I let him get away, it was going to be over, race over for me. And I'm kind of fighting for the championship. We're P2 in the championship, and Polisek, kind of our rival here, was not at this race today. There was a drop week, but we really need to do everything we can to catch him. And I kind of had a feeling that I would be able to maybe get a bit closer. I don't know what it was. I just thought that I could maybe bring this gap down just a little bit, and we were able to do that. You can see in the last chicane, this is kind of where my strength was. I was a bit quicker than most of the guys here in this last chicane. I would practice it a lot, and done this track before in other cars and stuff. So another lap goes by, and we come across some back markers. I knew this was going to be another opportunity to just bring the gap down a little bit. And we go up the hill, and I have absolutely no idea how he managed to save that slide. And we almost have the slide ourselves, but Yeah, I have no idea, but that's some insane car control to save that. And we almost have a little bit of a spin, and somehow we save it. But 10 minutes left, and I knew that once you have a slide like that, the tires are going to be a little bit overheated for the next corner. And you can see here, last chicane, he goes deep again, and this is going to give us an opportunity to get a run on the front straight. And I knew I had to do something here. I was going to go on the inside, but I didn't want to lift, so I just kept the momentum. And now we're on the outside, so I'm pretty much forced to go around the outside. I wasn't going to go for the inside, and I sort of just square off the corner as much as I can, full throttle as soon as I can. And now we're running side by side, same place that he passed me, and I just sent it in this corner, and somehow we got in front. But it is not over yet. He is extremely close behind us, and yeah, I knew that this battle was far from over. So even though we did pass him, he definitely did have the pace on me. So now it's just about defending for the last 12 minutes of the race, which was extremely difficult. Again, back markers in front of us is going to be tricky just to get around them. And the track was, at this point, it was kind of a mix. You can see it's very, very lightly raining. It's definitely drier than when the race first started. But the track is still wet. You can see he's in the slipstream. We stay in the middle of the track, don't defend. He tries to go for a move on the inside, but now our run is going to be compromised down to turn 1. So he's going to have another chance to get by me. I kind of was just staying on the inside. I didn't want to give up the inside at all. So really the plan was to just stay on the inside and just park it on the apex every time, which is what we did. He tries to cross over, but again, we just put the car in all the right places. And here, this was extremely sketchy, a little bit of a tap, and we almost took each other out there, almost crashed there. But just really close wheel-to-wheel racing. Probably the best racing I've had in a while. It was a lot of fun. But you can see he's just, yeah, completely on me, not giving up at all. Yeah, just completely just pushing flat out here and just trying to, yeah, just getting every corner right, because one little mistake and he has a look down the inside, and that's kind of race over. And we have 10 more minutes left of this, 10 more minutes left of him putting the pressure. I'm gonna go a little deep here, a little bit of oversteer, and yeah, that corner there was a tricky corner throughout the whole race. You can see he's gonna have another look. Again, we're just defending the inside, putting the car on the apex, but again, he's gonna be able to cross over on the exit and just get a better run than us. And again, same thing here. He's just on our rear bumper, and we're just trying to defend the track and just keep this lead here. Breaking down into turn 1. Again, he's going to cross over. He has so much more speed on the exit. You can see we just cover the inside line. And yeah, we're just trying everything we can to keep him behind. Gonna have another look around the outside. A little bit of a wiggle there, but again, we just somehow keep it around. I think here I had a little slide here, a little wiggle there. But this was probably one of the most intense races I've had in a while, where you're just on the edge every single lap. Probably the fastest I've driven when I'm running away from being passed here. And really this win is kind of crucial in the championship. I don't have any wins yet, but if I could win this race, it would be very, very crucial. So we have 5 minutes left, and all this time, again, this gap has basically been within a 10th. And this lap here, you will see what happens. Going down turn 1, same thing that's happened for the past 5 laps. Going side by side, he has a bit more momentum around the outside. I could tell he's pushing a little bit. He goes on the power, and a little tap spins me around. And we are now in the grass and trying to have a safe rejoin there. So obviously it wasn't intentional, but he lost the rear end a bit, kind of tapped my rear left quarter panel, spun me around and dropped me down to P3. I don't know how we didn't get passed by the other cars. I didn't realize how far ahead we were. He did let me by though, which is great sportsmanship. He didn't have to do that, but he did let me by, and unfortunately he ended up getting a black flag from the stewards. Don't know how I feel about that, but you know, he did let me by after that. incident, and now we are in P2 again, and definitely the momentum has kind of shifted at this point after that little incident. Kind of the rhythm was a bit destroyed for me. I definitely was not in the rhythm anymore. I didn't think that the win was possible, and in hindsight I should have pushed as hard as I could at the beginning of the or after that little incident, because this is the last lap of the race. And you can see Derek Cyphers, who you remember at the beginning of the race we passed and was in P3, is now back in the lead of the race. And I didn't really start pushing until a couple laps after I got spun around, because I knew that the win was still possible. The gap was about, I think, 3 or 4 seconds, and we brought it down to about a second. And if you thought I was pushing before, this is when I'm really pushing as much as I can, because I think in my head I thought there was a little bit of a chance that I still could have won. And you can see here now there is a little bit of a chance. I have one heavy braking zone left to try to win this race after starting on pole, being passed, being spun around, and now we have another chance to potentially win. Last lap, last corner, we try to make a move around the outside, but ended up blocking the front right and just understeered. But I gave it everything that I could, and we come home with a P2. So disappointed. That race was almost a win, almost the second win in PCA, and would have been my first win this season. It's a bit frustrating. I think it all started from losing the lead on the first lap. I think if I didn't lose the lead on the first lap, then everything else after that wouldn't have played out. But it was a fun race though. Was a fun race, probably the most fun race I've had in a while. But try to keep this video short and sweet, and that is essentially what happened in round 3 of PCA. I believe that still puts me first in the championship, but a win would have been nice after putting in so much effort in qualifying and the race. So many cool, good battles throughout the race. Yeah, Jesse Lyons and Derek Cyphers had crazy pace. Somehow managed to keep up with the fast guys, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, leave a like down below. Finally, we have a dry race, which is going to be Summit Point. I think it's kind of a Mickey Mouse track, but it will be fun. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that battle as much as I did, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.